Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Kari Warberg Block. She is the founder and CEO at Earthkind. She's an author, speaker, and we'll talk about her entrepreneurial journey as a farm wife with an annual income of just $18,000. And despite limited resources, she identified a gap in the market and saw the potential to build a successful business. And now today she is known by most as a kindness rebel, which means caring enough to stand up and speak for herself. So making a lot of difference everywhere. Welcome to the show, Kari.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about your business. We'll talk about overcoming challenges and seizing opportunities. And so before we come to this exactly, let's understand a lot through your journey itself, about your background, so that people know who they are listening to and also learn from your journey itself.
Sure, happy to share. As you said, I consider myself a kindness rebel, which means standing up and speaking up for what you believe. To do that, it's about aligning with your values and what you deeply want in life, and then going after it. This is something that was always hard for me growing up. I changed schools a lot during my early years. I was always the new kid. It was hard to find my voice, hard to find where I fit in. And I found myself a farm wife many years later in life, and we were living on $18,000 a year combined family income. I found my voice, and here we are, $360 million in sales later, just simply through that.
Absolutely. So you make it sound very simple, but obviously none of these things are very simple, from $18,000 per year to $360 million empire. So how did it all begin? What inspiration? How did it begin? Obviously, and see, people see ideas everywhere. Good ideas, not so good ideas, but their mind does not tick. So your entrepreneurial mind was always ticking. You saw it and you picked it up, or is it that it came up and then you could recognize that it could be a big business? And pest control, non-toxic pest control solution. Help us a bit about through that part of the motivation, understanding, inspiration, so that people can understand your story better.
Sure. The most common question I get asked is, how do I speak up? And then I ask the question, what is it that you deeply care about? And that's really where this gem of an idea took off. The compassion is what qualified me for this. I did not have an education in, what I was doing. I wasn't a PhD. I had no money. By all worldly means, I had nothing. But I had compassion, and I had a deep wound, so to speak. Mice, they kept getting into our tractor cabs and eating and making a mess. And it was so frustrating. I mean, to the point of tears, and there was nothing anybody could do. And I called all the companies and nobody cared. There's that compassion piece again. And I think, like a lot of entrepreneurs, those that really scale and go through all the pains and all the things that you have to learn along the way, is what is that thing that pains you so deeply that you're willing to invest yourself in it and invest your time in it? And for me, that was the pest control industry. And to take you back in the story, I grew up the daughter of an entomologist, and I was scared of pests, like deeply scared of them, because my dad kept them in cages in the next room. And I think they were gonna come and get me, and then I'd argue with them all the time. I'd say, why do you kill them? You love them. You love insects and bugs and all the amazing things they do for the world. He got his PhD in it. And he'd said, that's how you make money. You have to, make money. Don't complain. You have a full stomach. And so years later, when I grew up, he had already passed away. It was, well, maybe there is a different approach to pest control where you don't have to actually kill them, which I didn't want to do. And I certainly didn't want to lure them in and kill them because I was freaked out by them. I didn't want that conflict. I'm like, if they could just stay away and I'd never have to see them. And that's really the idea where it started. Nobody had ever taken a preventive approach. Nobody had ever worked with the pests before to figure out what's going to drive them away and keep them away and help them communicate to the rest of their family, don't go here. And that's basically, I became an inventor to make that happen. Never thought I'd have to run a company and do the sales and learn all the other things. I thought I could just license it out. Wasn't that easy.
Of course, it wasn't easy. And that is where my next question is that, Kari, one can think, of a problem and you want a solution. So you create a solution, you become an inventor in yourself, and then you solve it for yourself. And then you are happy about it. There are so many grown solutions for so many things. People do it. Some people grow it into a business. But in your case, it was a very organized industry for others. And you just wanted to create a solution and it make the world better for pests also and for yourselves, so that they are also happy, you're also happy, they are just of your belongings.
Mhm.
How did you come with that idea of creating something, non-toxic pest control? And secondly, then how did it grow up from there? How did you realize, okay, this can be marketed, that it needs a lot of confidence, self-confidence also, that there is a market, people will be ready to buy for it, because there are already, how will you prove it to the world? You can prove yourself because it works, but to prove it to outside world, and when they're ready to pay for it, it can be a big task for anyone. It needs a lot of courage, it needs a lot of self-confidence, it needs a sort of self-belief in the product you are making. Help us a bit with that sort of a mindset that at that point in time.
Sure, there's three things. The first one is the compassion piece. What is it that you want to do? And that it starts to evolve over time as you learn more and your capability deepens and develops. Now, in my case, I started with no money, no education, no anything. So I had to jump right into the capability piece. Okay, I need to figure out how to invent a product that, because I had the problem like for myself, right, as a customer. And then I started to learn there's 2 million farmers out there. And I thought, if half of them like me, that's going to be a really good business. So I started out only thinking about farmers in the beginning. And I knew that would probably create a $5 million business. So I started out that, and customers started asking for more. We learned that truckers liked our product, that people with storing RVs and motorhomes liked our product. So today we're in 11 different business verticals, if you will. And we're still, the capability piece is still something we have to keep very top of mind really every day, because you need to find and align yourself with the people that have the capabilities to do what you want to do. Because I can't learn it all myself, right? So I had to step into being a leader for that. You have to make sure that you have the money and the cash flow. So I got very, very good at running a business on cash flow and making sure that there was always enough cash flow coming in to pay the bills and reinvest in the growth of the business. And because of that, we didn't need outside capital until we were ready or wanted some piece of capability that we didn't have before. And today we're a debt-free company. yet we're in 35,000 stores and we continue to grow. So first, the compassion piece. The second is the capability. You can never take your eyes off the ball on that one. I'm thinking about it like all the time. The third piece really in the success of it, no matter what you're starting, what kind of business, is the community. You've heard the saying, you become the sum of the 5 people you spend your most time with. It's
Absolutely.
really, really true. Um, and over the growth, if I'm still not on that farm anymore, and it's in a family trust. I miss being on that farm, but I knew I couldn't grow the business until I did certain things. So today our factory is located in North Carolina, which is a far away from North Dakota where I first started this business. The community that I was around when the business was originating is very different than the community that I'm around today. And I put myself as the leader into networks that can help me grow. I don't call it networking per se, but doing business through networks. Um, you really you have to continually up level yourself is a good way to say it, and your community. And it's not just me as the leader, but I grew the entire company through community. Out on social media, we were one of the first out there doing that. I wanted to stay in touch with our customers very, very closely. So our customers have guided us very much where we are. A lot of our growth came through the community. Happy customers, we'd say, do you know anybody who would like our product? Even the retailers, can you introduce us to other retailers? So we didn't actually even have a sales team internally until very recently. It seems, crazy to say, but the business growth came through our community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You talked about compassion, you talked about capability, talked about community, you talked about customer. Your company is from North Carolina. So lots of C's into your thing. So let me ask one another C, that is challenges. Talk about the challenges. What challenges did you have to face?
Oh my gosh. This is when I'm on stages, people hear about these challenges and it's riveting. It's hardly an eye goes off the stage because there's been so many. The first big challenge was when I launched or released my first product invention. I was at a trade show and I got on the local news and worked all night because I knew the demand would be there. The next morning, there was a line 2 blocks long waiting to get into this trade show. And it was like, this is North Dakota winter. I mean, it's like 10 degrees or something outside. People were waiting. The line was very long. About the tail end of the day, I got a visit from the EPA. And they said, what you're doing is technically illegal. You're not allowed to sell a product that repels rodents, like a public health risk pest, without a license from the federal EPA. And so they said, come down to our office on Monday, and I did. And I said, well, how much does it cost? How long will it take? And they said, well, it'll cost about $2 million. The chances of getting it are this little, so I don't know if I'd even try if I were you because of the science, and nobody has ever taken a biological natural product and brought it through the federal registration process. And they explained it was kind of like an FDA. You can't take a herbal tincture and turn it into a medicine, right, with a label. So I went home and I thought, how am I going to get around this one? I figured it out. It was a lot of prayers, being very resourceful, and telling people, I think this is really important. what would you do? And I asked, I went right to the state and I went to the feds. I said, it's better that you work with me on this or somebody and change the rules. So we got new policy and I wrote new protocols. So I learned how to do that. That was a big challenge, a real big challenge. Getting into retail stores was another big challenge. Understanding how to price the product and get it moving off the shelf, because most business people or entrepreneurs miss the capability piece on that. They think if I get the product on the store, it's going to sell. No, you still have to create awareness for the product, which is where the community comes in. And then once you create awareness, you can get the product moved off the shelf. So I got myself on talk radio, and I was just out there, and it was difficult because I'm an introverted person, and I was terrified to speak up. When I was in high school, I would have quit and got my GED before I would have dared to do speech. I mean, it was literally terrifying for me. But I learned when I shared my deepest belief, it didn't matter about being scared. It was more about the truth, right, of what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. And rarely did anybody say no to me. They were very inspired that I was courageous enough to say, this is important. I think it's important to other people too. And so that really, really helped overcome that challenge. Another big challenge, this one nearly took us out probably within 2 weeks of bankruptcy. We lost 80% of our revenues 1 year. I found out one of our suppliers was cheating us and was duping, like the product or the essential oils that we use in our products that actually repel and deter the pests are all grown on farms. And this was a third generation farmer that I trusted and I'd been in business with a long time. And I just had this gut feeling. And so my, operations team and entomologists went up there and questioned. They said, everything seems good. And I said, well, how many people did they have in their offices and their labs? And again, looking at capabilities, I was thinking, where do people invest? You can tell a lot about a business. And they said, well, there was like 20 people in the lab. I'm like, what? I knew they were duping. So I had to self-report to the federal EPA. That was the integrity. That was the right thing to do. Say, hey, I've discovered this. We're going to fix it. It took 9 months to get it fixed. So we couldn't sell our product, our top selling product during that time. So again, I had to use my voice. I went out to all our customers, visited them, told them exactly what happened, told them the truth, told them we were going to make this right. And they held their orders. And some of these are public corporations that were going to lose millions of dollars in revenues. So we didn't lose any of the business. We came back and recovered in a somewhat short time because of going out face to face, talking to people. And here's something that it really did for us, that challenge. It positioned us in our customers' eyes around our values and our beliefs. And without exception, every customer, and these are some big retailers, they said, dang it, I wish everybody we did business with had these kind of values. And so they had so much trust for us as a brand. And the same thing with our customers and our end users. That was a biggie, though. I mean, 2 weeks from bankruptcy, we kept all our people employed. And we had no clue when EPA would be able to get to the paperwork. Turned out to be the year Trump got in office, and they saved all their paperwork from everyone until December 24th. So DC could have Christmas again, which was really important to the new president. So we got stuck in that, but that was a big challenge. Building a leadership team, that's another big challenge. Getting over being a leader and scaling yourself, that's like a very big challenge. Keeping your mind curious and open and doing what you need to do for your business.
Right, right. So, how did you manage all these things? Was it your mindset all alone, a team? Because during these tough times, you got to be the leader, you got to be the one who will decide the policies of the company, ethics. There will be shortcuts also available. You have to decide which road to take. Who was your best, what were your best tools? What were your best advisors? I want to understand that.
So as far as the best tool, I go I go to Jesus. I always think, what would Jesus do? And I'll think about different leaders, like what would they do in this situation? And it always comes back to my beliefs and my values. And I think as long as I can align with those and let people know this is why this is important to me. So my beliefs and values were, you have to have integrity and honesty. And one of the reasons I chose to scale this business and grow, because 98% of everything sold in my category was poison and kill. And I had a goal within 33 years to make that, to like flip the script. And so maybe only 2% of everything sold would be toxic and kill. So I kept that goal in my mind, and I thought, I have to make it through this, because is anybody else willing to do this, willing to invest in this category? And there wasn't. So the resolve helped there. That really created resilience as well. My network, my community. I've been a member of Vistage, which is a CEO organization. It's peers. I've used and worked with different coaches along the way, which have been, really helpful, leadership coaches. One of my favorite is John Maxwell. He's a phenomenal leader and a phenomenal communicator. And through all of the challenges, that really is, to me, it's a setup for the next thing. And it's almost like you could think of it as a test, right? Are you ready to go to the next level? Because you learn that lesson, you're stronger and more resilient for the next lesson that's going to come up. But having a learning mindset really, really helps. Having an open heart really, really helps. And I've been told I'm like at my best in a crisis and in any kind of a transformation where, we have to get from here to here to here, all aligned as a team. I start to get a little bored when there isn't enough activity going on. So I
Right.
like the change and I like the opportunity. And I love to align people to a vision, although it's very difficult going through a crisis, I have to say.
Absolutely. Who are your biggest customers? Is it the farmers? Is it general population? Is it the big companies?
So our biggest customers are the retailers who purchase our products to sell to their customers. And we chose that way because We wanted to get our product out to every city across the country so people would have local access to our product. That was before the internet, when we started. We've been in here, 18 years, something like that. So now there's internet. Obviously, Amazon is really growing up in size. And our retailers are also online, like Walmart and Lowe's and Menards and Tractor Supply. So their online presence continues to grow. So it's really an ever evolving landscape.
Right. So tell me, Kari, one thing is that uh, when there is non-toxic pest control solutions available, why is it that so many big companies are flourishing for this, for much more chemical based solutions? You are fighting to make it only 2%, but here the market is growing. You are also, I don't know how much you hold, how much of market share you have, but the simple logic is when non-toxic is available, why go for toxic?
So that's a question about human behavior. Oftentimes, when we get into a state of stress or fight or flight, our brains turn off. We go to that reticular brain and we just make a choice based on a habit. When people get a pest problem and they see a mess, they're like, and they don't. So it's just a habit. They go down and they buy the poison. They know it's going to kill the pest, and they know they're going to be gone. But we're in a time now where people started searching, and maybe the wife says, well, let me Google and see what I can find, because maybe there's something that's a little bit safer. And when I started the business, that really didn't exist. People didn't even know there was another option. They didn't even think natural would work. All of us now in the category are still fighting that same mindset. Will natural work? Once we got to a 5% penetration in the market, which is normally when you know it's not just a trend, okay, this is here to stay. That's when Procter & Gamble came into the category.
Okay.
And they're spending over $100 million a year in marketing and advertising to educate people and say, hey, there is a more natural way. They still do kill, but what it's doing is it brings people into the stores. And then our products oftentimes, like in Walmart, are placed right next to it. So it's a nice collaborative way to go to market, because there's no way we could afford to do that same level of advertising that they're doing. Yet when the customer gets in the store, it's a nice alternative. So they can buy the kill, and then they can also buy a preventive, so to prevent it from happening again. And our products can be used in places where their product can't.
Right.
So
Right. Right. What about the copying? Did you face any of this, because this was invented by you? There could be many copycats also.
Oh.
How did you deal with them, or they did not come at all?
Oh yeah, it came. I mean, we've had people like, oh my gosh, cancel and our trademarks directly with the trademark office. And I've had good systems in place where I can catch stuff like that, but nowadays you have to be on it all the time yourself to do that. We've had to file suit and say, you can't use that name, you can't use that design, you can't use that utility or make those claims. We have the added protection, though, as well, of being under a regulated industry, because we're not allowed to do and say things without approval of regulatory. So a lot of times, like me, when I started, I didn't know. I just put the product out there. So a lot of the people that have come to market, like you're on the right path, but there's some business things you need to do and learn to make this work. So most of them self-select out, but I see us as almost like, Balance Bar. When they first came in, there was one little bar on the shelf for healthy protein, food bar. And now there's 8 feet, sometimes 16 feet in a store of similar products. And I hope that's where our category is headed, because I'll never reach my goal of seeing that, a flip in the amount of toxic products out on the market. And the more they see our success, the more other people are going to come in. And that's genuinely, how a market grows. But still, even today, 40 children are diagnosed daily with cancer. And household pesticides are one of the contributors to that. And the amount of toxins in our landfills and the cans, and I mean, it's staggering, and it's really damaging on the environment. And coming from a farm background, I saw it with pollinators. We had an 1,100 acre farm that we went regenerative and some organic. And so I learned a lot of what I do from nature itself, because we wanted to figure out how not to use the toxic sprays, and pollinators played a role in that. So it's scary how much toxins are out there and how it's impacted and affected our health. And pesticides are, I think number 6 in the most toxic industry. So there's a lot of work to do by more than just us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When did this kindness rebel part come in?
It's somewhat recently did I really realize that your voice, you almost have to be a rebel, because most people don't do it. Um, I was on a really prestigious advisory council for Congress, SBA, and the White House. And I did a lot of roundtables and listened to people, and women in particular, about bottlenecks to their growth. And without exception, it came back to they were scared to ask for what they want, whether it be money, whether it be, asking people to change their mindset about something for just a minute. And then along with the people asking me always when I go, and what I do to get the courage to speak up for what I believe. And so Kindness Rebel, really fit it, because for us, I wanted more kindness. I started this Earth Kind company with that, mission and purpose in mind. But yeah, I had to be somewhat of a rebel to walk into a retailer, into the EPA, up to an investor, whatever, and say, no, there's a kinder way. So I had to rebel against everything that they know. And it creates a lot of friction, but that's where the behaviors and the values come in, because if you lead with purpose and you know what you value and what you want, it makes it a whole lot easier to inspire and motivate and align people to that new future.
Absolutely. The new future. And I'm sure the future will be better with this sort of efforts. There is much to learn and understand about these things from you, Kari. And I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn more from you, about your pest control, non-toxic pest control solutions. And so what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Sure. To connect with me, I have a website, KariWarbergBlock.com. For our company and our products, that's earthkind.com. I have a blog on my own website we have one of the most extensive resource libraries there is on Earthkind. It's pretty much any question you'd have about a pest, we can work you through how to take care of it in a non-toxic way, whether that's buying our product or not. We've always led with the education. You can find me out doing podcasts like this. I don't have my own podcast at this time.
Wonderful, wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.